welcome back to my channel. It's Courtney here. I hope you had some good reading in the month of February because I sure did, and I want to talk to you about it. But before I get started, go ahead and click that subscribe button below so that you get notified and know when I post some content and do all that jazz. So anyway, February itself was an awesome month, okay? It was Black History Month, and also it was Battle of the Girl Bands Readathon. It was the Missy Elliott Readathon. You had Blackathon, and I participated in for the Culture Readathon. So a lot of athons going on, but really good time, okay? Now, for Battle of the Girl Bands Readathon, I was a co-host, so I was excited to be part of Team Spice Girls. I was able to amass, 440 points for my team, so I'm excited about that, okay? So let's get started with some of the books that I read, okay? So first off, we have Token Black Girl. This book I did a dedicated video for. I had an awesome time with that. I learned a lot. I had the words to put into some of the things that I have felt. Definitely resonated with this book, okay? Check out my video. I'm gonna definitely link that below, okay? I won't go into prompts. I'll just say what the books I read, okay? So I read a book called Dangerously Mine, right? Basically, you have aliens that have come to Earth and have abducted this one woman, right? So as she gets, traded from one person to another, she winds up with this king, y'all, right? And of course, they fall in love and have lots of sex. Now, I thought that a lot of the lines in this book were really cheesy, and the whole possessiveness by the guy was a bit cheesy as well. And the girl alluding to herself as being a slave all the time just rubbed me the wrong way because she was told repeatedly that she was definitely not. But it was a fun ride, and I liked how she beat up the sexist aliens. And the next book I read was Medusa's Revenge. Now, this is an urban mythological retelling, and it's actually book one in a duology. So you basically have Medusa, who is caught in a very compromising position by Athena, right? And so Athena curses her. Fast forward, Medusa is on Earth, just trying to live her best life, stay out of trouble. And then this handsome guy comes into town. He has the looks of the god. And of course, all this lust and dangers follows him. So it gets really fun. There was some jaw-dropping insults. You see that gods and goddesses bicker and fight amongst themselves just like regular humans and can't get along. And you see a really possessive, obsessive, and delusional side of Poseidon. So, pretty interesting time. Oh, and I got wind on NetGalley of the arc for Blood Justice. Now, that's the follow-up to Blood Debts that I read in January. So, you know what? I requested that bad boy, and they came through. Now, Blood Justice was good. I just felt that it was really long. And based on how it ended, it definitely is going to continue in the series. I think I'm definitely going to stop here, though. Now, Chris has cleared her family name, but people are still coming for her and her people, of course. So she continues this whole amateur magical sleuth person, and she kind of loses herself along the way in that. And then you have Clem, that's the brother. He's reaching his limit in trying to save Eve. And then, Valentina's being a little biznitch and doing a lot of scheming. And then you get some murdering and all this godly interactions. And that was really cool. Now, in Blood Justice, I did notice that there's a whole lot more cussing than there was in Blood Debts. And I also did not like that you had these 17-year-old children going around in all of these adult spaces, ordering around and talking trash to the adults. I just felt like somebody needs to put somebody over their knee. And I will say, with the feel of this book, I think that, and even with the first book, I think that I could probably get on board a little bit better and enjoyed it more if this book was set in a previous time period instead of modern day. I just felt that it was a little bit disjointed. But one big key takeaway that I got from this book is that violence sometimes is the answer, especially if that is what people are giving to you. But good story, definitely worth checking out if you are invested in this magic system and in this particular series. While I was on arcs, I went ahead and picked up another arc, which is The Dead Cattail Assassin by P. Djeli Clark. You know, he's the one that wrote Ring Shout, which is absolutely amazing. You should check that book out too. But The Dead Cattail's Assassin is a really short novella. And it is about an undead assassin who is contracted to basically kill herself that was sent back from another time period. And, you know, of course she has to figure out why. But I thought that it was really entertaining with a lot of really cool fight scenes. The world building with the gods was really cool and unique. It's just that I felt like I got lost in the sauce quite a bit of time. But it's definitely an interesting book that worth checking out. And then you have Delicious Monsters, this big beautiful book here. Now this book is about a teen girl who can see ghosts, right? So then her mom inherits this big beautiful mansion on this island, and this mansion kind of has a little sinister history where it either spells success or it spells doom for whoever, you know, enters this mansion. So when they move there, then of course she starts to uncover this mystery surrounding this mansion, her family, some murders, and how that ties into her, you know, being able to see ghosts. And it has dual timelines with someone from the future who is traveling to this mansion to help uncover some mystery surrounding Daisy. Now, I will say right off, every single mother in this book sucks, okay, and failed their children. Even the grandmother. Just horrible, horrible parenting all the way, okay? But the book itself was a slow burn, and that slow burn allowed you to become invested in the characters, so you don't even notice it. So I really did enjoy the pacing of this book, and that's something that I don't normally say, that I enjoyed the slow burn of a book. But it was adequate for this book. And I also liked the dual POV because initially it does seem like the information is redundant from the two different characters, but you get to see more insight in the full story, so I didn't mind that as well. And as far as with creep factor, y'all, this book definitely had a creep factor. There was repeated references to MAGGOTS, which is one of my fears in life. I had to put the book down every single time there was a reference to it. But also you have these ghosts walking around like licking people's faces and stuff. Just really interesting and unique things in this book, okay? I did enjoy it. A solid read here. And you had the Bandit Queens, okay? This book was just a ride. I do love that cover too, by the way. But yeah, very good time. They're in India, a little small town in India, right? So you have this woman named Gita whose husband has disappeared, right? So everybody assumes that she killed her husband. So she's kind of like a pariah in the town. Nobody really wants anything to do with her, and they whisper behind her back, right? Now, it's been 5 years, and Gita has said she didn't do it, and she's tired of telling people because they're not listening anyway. So then one day, Gita's minding her own business, and this woman comes to her and says, "Hey, can you help me kill my husband since you have experience?" Now, that's not necessarily something Gita wants to do, but you know, something happens and Gita is on board. And it just starts a downward spiral in the entire village and causes a whole slew of other problems. Now, this book had an amazing plot. I really did enjoy it, but it also had a lot of comedy interspersed with it, and also a lot of serious themes that I really did not expect. Like, you have female empowerment, you have Indian culture and how it's changing over time for the betterment of the people, and getting rid of some unfair and unsafe practices. You also have domestic violence and how that's really condoned in this patriarchal society, and women are basically being asked to be complicit in their own demise. You have substance abuse, the Indian caste system, and there's also lots and lots of superstitions that are embedded in the culture. But a big thing that I found in this book is the value that is placed on motherhood, and how women that don't have children are considered oddities and like they're not fulfilling their duty as human beings and as wives. Now, as someone that does not and will not be having a child, I don't feel any less of a woman as a person by not having given birth. And I think that women need to stop putting that pressure on other women. People need to fit into their own narrative instead of having other people dictate what that should be for them. And I think Gita definitely shows that there is beauty to life without children and without husbands, for that matter. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So, really good book. I like this one a lot. Now, the last book that I read for the Battle of the Girl Bands Readathon is this book right here. So Let Them Burn. And this book was really good. So this is a YA Jamaican inspired fantasy novel, right? It is about these two sisters, right? You have Farron and you have Alara. So Farron is 17, Alara is 18. Farron is chosen by the gods to wield their power and helped liberate her people from this other empire of, dragon riders, right? So they go to this, conference or whatnot, and somehow Alara gets bonded to a dragon at this other empire. It's called the Langlish Empire. So she is kind of bonded to it, so she can't just, dissipate that. So she winds up going to this other empire to train. And you have Farron, who is determined to help free her sister from this bond with this dragon. And she opens up a whole nother can of worms with the gods and this other mythical dragon that, is not a good thing. You also have the threat of war coming back between these two empires and the destruction that these dragons can cause. Now, this book had a lot going on. You have a lot of talk about colonization and how there's different forms of colonization as well. I love the whole idea of being able to channel the power of your ancestors and speak with them and utilize their skills as well as that of the gods. That was definitely unique. And the dragon riding, that was pretty cool. How you have the different riders and the different type of dragons. But you had a lot of serious themes going on. You have political intrigue, you have strategies, you have rebellion, you have war, violence. There is some romance. That's not till the end, nothing really serious in the book. More teenage angst, if you ask me. But one thing that it did have a lot of is like PTSD, because you have these young children who are basically child soldiers, if you ask me, in a different form, that are carrying the burden of war on their shoulders. And it's 5 years removed, but they're still carrying that with them. And it's really, really sad. There was really some heartbreaking parts in this book. One of the most heartbreaking parts came for me at the beginning when you have Laura, that's the older sister, wanting to kind of be a pilot for one of these dragon machines, and she's begging it to choose her. It was just, oh my gosh, my heart just, I still think about that scene even at the end of the book. But anyway, really good book, definitely worth checking out. Now, I will say that this book is going to be at the very least a duology. The ending leaves in somewhat of a cliffhanger, so be prepared for that. I would say don't pick this up unless you really want to continue the series, because because it definitely leaves off at a crucial point where you want to see what happens at the end. But definitely a good book that's worth checking out. And the next readathon, let's go to Missy Elliott readathon. I read Dead Cat Tales for that, Medusa's Remedy, Bandit Queen's Delicious Monsters. I did not get to the prompt for a book set in the past, and the group read was Delicious Monsters, so I hit most of those prompts out there, okay? Oh, Out There Screaming. I previously read that, so 5 out of 6 prompts, as well as both of the buddy reads. I call that a win. Then you have Blackathon, 6 prompts and a group read, and I hit 5 of the prompts, and I did tap up the group read. Of all the books I read, they were included in that, except for... Now, Ghost Roast is a middle grade paranormal graphic novel, and it is actually written by a pair of sisters. I think that's really special that, you know, they were able to write this together. But this is about a 17-year-old with the ability to see ghosts. So over the summer, she is helping her dad with his paranormal removal business. Now that's unique, right? So when he takes a job at this old slave plantation manor, she befriends this ghosts and unravels a mystery surrounding him and the manor. Now, I will say I really enjoyed the diversity that is represented in this graphic novel. You have a little bit of everybody, and I think that's really beautiful. Also, the historical references were handled very well for this age range too. But I had one thing that I thought was really just odd in this book, is that I felt like her hair kept disappearing. Now, I know that sounds really funny, but I just felt like she has dreads or braids here, but then at some points they just were like cut off and gone. So I don't know what effect that was supposed to be about in the book, but it was just very distracting for me. But I did think that that was a fun book to check out. Now, also for Blackathon, there was a group read, right? And it was Vagabonds. Now, I DNF'd this at 84 pages because it just isn't for me. Now, I really do enjoy the beautiful, pretty cover, but I just could not get into this book. It had too many characters and all these metaphors, roundabout way of saying something that's just not my type of tea. So for that reason, I DNF'd it. And that is Blackathon. And the last readathon is For the Culture Readathon by Book Tribe. Okay, so this had 12 prompts and a bonus book. Okay, now the bonus book was So Let Them Burn. I was already going to read this, so that worked in my favor. So Let Them Burn actually fit quite a number of prompts. Probably at least 5 or 6 prompts for this particular readathon here. But I did not get to read a lighthearted fantasy and a book that gets a bad rep. So I did 10 out of the 12 prompts. That's not bad. I will take that for the win. And that is it for me, okay? Mixing and matching all of these books is where it's at. So I read a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books for February. Not too shabby. Let me know how your February reading went and what readathons you participated in. I'm gonna go, gotta return some stuff to the library, and I'll check you later. Bye, y'all.